Hey, Damo here. I've got this room to a point sound-wise where it is totally usable for everything we need to do, from recording and rehearsing through to mixing when I get a chance. After I'd set up everything in here, I did a whole bunch of tests with Room EQ Wizard and tweaked a little bit to get it in a bracket that I thought was probably about as good as I'm going to get it in a space like this. It's not a good shaped room. It's small, fairly low ceiling. It's a bit of a worst case scenario, squarish room. But I've done a fair bit to, I think, get it to a point where it's as good as I can do. And I thought I would make a bit of a video about the journey I took to get there, because there's some things I learned and some things that may be of use to other people that are trying to do treatment on a sound room, which is something you've got to do. You've got to treat a room. You can't be doing music or sound and not treat a room. And it's a question of doing it often as economically and easily as possible. So yeah, I thought I'd share some of my anecdotes on that front. Probably to get there, I should step back a little bit, because it took ages for a room to become available. So in Brighton here, there are not many spaces where you can do the things that I require, being able to make lots of noise all day long. There's a handful of places and it's just waiting lists. So I put myself on waiting lists. I decided I wanted to get a room because we were all getting fed up with the local rehearsal rooms, just spending a small fortune weekly. I mean, I was doing several rehearsals a week. It gets very, very expensive. Not that this isn't expensive as well, but just giving your money away all the time. And they were getting more expensive. The equipment was deteriorating because the costs, I think, of running studios are getting higher. And also just parking, just mundane stuff as a drummer. If you got to park 5-10 minutes walk away from a studio and then carry all your stuff, it's just a pain in the... So anyway, I decided to get a room. It was months and months and months. I don't know how many months, maybe 6-8 months until something came up. But during that period, I was thinking and planning for whenever I got a room, not really knowing what the room was going to be like, even what kind of room it was going to be, because I was kind of open to all sorts of different things. I knew that I couldn't afford commercial property, which would have been the ideal thing, to be able to set it up exactly how you want. But man, the rents are just crazy. I was looking at spending £30,000 a year or something stupid, and that was not a reality when, let's be honest, there isn't tons of money in music at the moment. So I was waiting for a room which was going to be essentially a rehearsal room, because those are the kind of rooms where you can play drums and make noise. The production facilities tend to say no drums. So anyway, during that period where I was looking on eBay, I had a load of eBay search strings for the various things that I wanted, from interfaces, speakers, buying lots of speakers, because I hope to intend to set up Dolby Atmos in here at some point. And I've got most of what I need now on that front. But one of the search strings I had was for room treatment stuff. I kind of presumed that I was going to be making a lot of the panels myself, and I did a bunch of research about the best ways to do that. Because again, I didn't want to spend loads of money on room treatment. You can spend a small fortune, obviously. So one of the things that happened was, on eBay, a bunch of panels came up that were from a recording studio that, I don't know, they closed down quite quickly for some reason, and they were selling off loads of stuff. And I managed to buy the panels that you can see on the ceiling and around me here for £250 I paid. And there are 6 wall panels and 4 ceiling panels. 2 of the ceiling panels I've actually put on the walls as well. And they're professional quality panels, so that was an absolute win. I hired a van and drove up, 100 miles away to go and get them. And I didn't have the room at the time. It was just pure speculation. And I just put them in my house, and they were in the way for ages, which was kind of annoying, but it was worth it, and I'm totally glad I did. And another thing that I did in advance, because I'd made the decision I didn't want to use kind of rock wool, glass fiber material, because it's not very nice. And denim is pretty good, has good soundproofing qualities. So I had started collecting just old used denim, and I had bags and bags of old trousers. I just got friends and neighbours and my wife and all sorts of people to just give me loads of used denim, which I'd just been collecting. And I had tons of it. And I was intending on using it for the corners of the room for bass traps. Because the bass traps you buy, they're quite expensive. You know, these square cubes and triangles and stuff that you put down the wall. And I know they're ugly. They're quite expensive and they're not particularly good. So I kind of thought, I was looking at spending hundreds and hundreds of pounds on these things that take up loads of space, as ugly as hell. And I don't think are really that good. They're not very flat sounding. I'm sure they are good enough. I know a lot of people use them. But anyway, I thought, hell, I'm going to just do it with denim and I'll work out a way of getting that to work, because I didn't want to spend an extra few £100. So I had this collection of denim. I had these wall panels at home, and then the room came up, and this room. And it is set up as a rehearsal room, and it already has carpeted walls. And I came in, funnily enough, the first time when I got access to it, I walked in the door and there are no lights. There's nothing in here whatsoever by default. That's why I have fairy lights, is because I walked in the door and I couldn't see anything. There's no light switch. And I was like, all right, I need to come back with some lighting. So I went home, went into my loft, picked up anything I could that illuminated. And one of those things was Christmas fairy lights. And so that is why, and they look quite pretty, so we kept them in here, which is why I'm illuminated by fairy lights in all my videos still, because everyone quite likes them. Anyway, I digress. So this room has carpet all around it, which is a sort of classic thing in rehearsal rooms because it just deadens the room. But from a sound treatment point of view, it doesn't deaden it in a particularly good way. It doesn't take out even frequencies. It's going to cut out some frequencies and not others. But it's useful from a rehearsal point of view. So my first thought when I saw it was like, oh God, maybe I don't even need those panels that I bought anyway. But I realised that I do, because I still need to treat the room and get it to be flat as possible, as well as being dead. I knew I wasn't going to get a nice big live room because I've got such a low ceiling here. So the next thing was to put the panels up. It's all wood, plasterboard, drywall kind of material behind, and because it's got carpet on it, you can't see or tell where any of the struts are or anything like that. So I had some hoops to jump through to get the panels up on the wall, because they're quite heavy, these ones. They're made of wood, solid wood, not just wood borders. But managed to, all except for at the back. So actually what you can see in this video, I've kept those on the floor, but they actually soundproof a bit for around the drum kit. That wall, I still haven't worked out where the struts are. And because there's electrical beams going down in awkward places, I can't actually get the panels all the way across the wall. But anyway, I'll show you some pictures and I'll probably intersperse them while I'm talking here, if I haven't started already doing that. And you'll see around the mixing area, because I'm sat at my desk here, they're all on the wall and working well. So anyway, I got to that point, and then one of the things, because it's a rehearsal room, and inevitably with rehearsal rooms you always get drummers. The main reason you want a rehearsal room is when you want to play the drums. So you might even be able to hear just in the distance, once I've compressed my voice for this video, you'll probably pick up there's a bass drum from somebody a little bit away. And when I first got the room, the bass drum from drummers around the building gets picked up obviously in the corners of the room. So I definitely needed to do a lot of work. So I then couldn't get my head around for ages, how do I affix all this denim. So I'd acquired and I had all this denim. But then suddenly it was like, well, I can't drill into the wall really because it's just drywall and I don't want to stick loads of those pins up all the way up the wall. And for a little while, I just couldn't get my head around how to do it. But the doors are not that good. And obviously doors are one of the main things. If you're soundproofing a room, the number one thing that you've got to sort out is the door, because that is where all the noise comes in and out. And that's absolutely the case. When I hear sound from other rooms in this building, invariably, if it's not low bass, it's coming through the door. So I made a door. I don't know why. I just thought it was a good idea. I'll show you some pictures of that. So I bought a bunch of stuff, cheap hardboard. I had offcuts of wood, but I needed something to fill it with, and the denim that I had was not going to work for that. So I had previously found this company in Lewes, which is about 15 miles from here, that sell this, I think it's called Pavatex or something, which is a recycled denim fabric for soundproofing. And I had a bookmark of that. So I went down there, and they're actually amazing, lovely guys, and they've got all sorts of amazing stuff. I will put a link in the description to that company, because they have stuff like plasterboard alternatives that are made of recycled Tetra Pak and all sorts of stuff. And they're really lovely guys. So yeah, I'll post a link to them. I can't remember the name of the company offhand. Anyway, I bought some of this. I bought a bag of Pavatex that I could put inside my new fake door that I was building. And I had excess, and it was a great big bag of this fluffy stuff. So I thought, oh, well, hell, I'll just stick some up in the corners for the minute. And I realized that when I put it in place, it just stayed there. I was like, oh, right, that's quite cool. So I just lined all the walls. This was before I'd finished any of it off. In fact, if I move my head, you might be able to see that behind me, because I haven't finished the corners on the other side of the room. You can actually see some of it in the corner behind me here. There. And there's nothing holding it up. It just stays there. And that led me to the idea that obviously it's fabric on fabric and it's got a sort of Velcro-ness. That's why it's staying in place. So I was like, okay, well, hang on. Can I use Velcro then? So I did a little bit of test. I had a bit of Velcro on one of my bags or something. And it's like, oh, hell, that's amazing. Because it's got carpeted wall in here, I can stick anything to the wall with Velcro and it just stays. So I bought a load of Velcro. I think I probably spent the best part of 50 quid on Velcro, because once you think about going the height of the room twice for each corner, and then I also used some for the smaller panels that I've got that I only had on one hook because they were moving around. So I've actually Velcroed them so they stay in place. So then my corner bass traps I have made with a weed prevention fabric. I don't know what the proper name of it is, but you can buy it. It's dirt cheap. Like 10 or 15 pounds buys you a 50-meter roll or something. And it's just this fabric material that it's great. So what I did, and hopefully I've got some pictures from when I did it that you can see, was just starting at the floor, sticking Velcro up the walls, sticking the fabric and stuffing it with the denim so that I could get all the way up to the ceiling. But I had what I thought was tons of denim. I had bags and bags and bags of denim. And I used all of it on one corner. It's nuts how much you can just stuff into a space. So I got one corner done with all the denim that I had collected. And I was quite pleased with it. It looks good. I'll show you a picture. But that was all my denim gone. So I then collected and managed to get a load more to do another corner. And that's where I'm at the moment, which is why behind me at the back of the room, where I'm slightly less concerned about the bass collection, because this is my mix area here. I need to collect a load more denim to do the back of the room. But I got it all free. It works really well. So a combination of just scrap denim Some of the Pavas. So the other thing was, not only did I stuff all of this denim, bags and bags and bags of denim in, I'd also put loads of this Pavatex material in because I had leftovers. And so running up the wall was Pavatex and then stuffed in with denim, and, and I still used it all up. But Velcro, denim, weed fabric. That sounds cooler than it actually is. And it's done great. Yeah, it made a fair bit of difference in my testing with the Room EQ Wizard. Definitely cut down and balanced out the bass, and made a difference with the sound of the other musicians in the building. And I think that's pretty much where I've got to at the moment. So in combination with the existing carpeted wall, the professional quality soundproofing panels that I've got on the ceiling and on the walls, and sticking a shit ton of denim all the way up the sides, I've got the room to a place where it is really, well, I'm not going to say really flat, but it's really usable and moderately flat, usably flat sound-wise, and really dead. The reverbs are almost non-existent in here, which for recording, as I mentioned in my previous video, is not ideal, but for mixing is great. So there you go. So all in all, I spent the 250 quid on the panels. That was by far the biggest expense, but totally worth it. I spent a little bit on the hooks and stuff to get those up on the wall. I had to use these specialist hooks for drywall for plasterboard, which were about £8 a pack. And I needed about 4 or 5, I don't know, maybe 6 packs of those. Some £15 on weed fabric, but you get tons of that. Nothing on denim, trousers and jackets and loose fabric. I think the Pavatex that I bought was about 50 or 60 quid. So yeah, all in about 400 quid. And it's great. I mean, there you go. You think what you could spend. I don't have any diffusers or anything like that, but I'm not bothered about that. I've got a drum kit that diffuses the sound quite nicely. He says, very unprofessionally. Anyway, there you go. That's my little sound treatment story for you. If you think this is interesting, you're a nutter. But if you do, give me a like and subscribe. And until the next time, take it easy. Bye.